Most people who ask this question are picturing what romance looks like in the outside world: flowers, candlelit dinners, holding hands at the movies, saying I love you every single morning. And then they imagine an Amish man in his 60s, bearded, quiet, sitting across from his wife of 40 years at a wooden table with no television, no phone, no radio. And they wonder, is there anything left between those two people? Is there warmth? Is there tenderness? Does he still feel something, or did all of that fade out somewhere in the middle of raising 8 kids on a farm in rural Pennsylvania? I grew up Amish in Lancaster County, Pennsylvania. My name is Sarah. I left when I was in my 18, and I have spent years since then unpacking what I actually witnessed growing up versus what I was simply too young to understand. And this question, this one right here, is one I think about more than almost any other, because the answer is not what most people expect. So let me take you into it. First, you have to understand something fundamental about Amish marriage that most outsiders get completely wrong. Amish couples do not wear wedding rings. There is no jewelry at all. The church views jewelry as encouraging pride and vanity, and the Amish have no room for that. No ring on the finger means no daily reminder of the kind that modern couples rely on. And yet those marriages hold together at rates that would make most couples in the outside world feel something between impressed and ashamed. Researchers who have studied Amish marriage have noted that divorce rates among the Amish are extremely low. Some estimates suggest roughly 96% of Amish marriages remain intact for life. Divorce is not just discouraged, it is considered a severe breaking of vows before God and would result in excommunication from the church, so these couples are bound to each other, not by a ring, not by a legal contract they could walk away from, but by faith, by community, and by a choice they made when they were barely 22 years old. Now that is the framework. But what does romance actually look like inside that framework, especially after 60? When I was growing up, the older couples around me, my grandparents, the elderly men and women at church, the couples who had been married 30, 40 years, they did not hold hands walking through the market. They did not kiss in front of anyone, not even their own children. Public displays of affection are genuinely uncommon in Amish culture. The belief is that flaunting feelings is not appropriate, that real love is not something you perform for others. What is said in Pennsylvania Dutch communities is that love is shown through daily actions, through service, through showing up. The Illinois Amish Heritage Center has even spoken publicly about how affection in Amish life is expressed by what you do, not what you say. Many Amish couples go their entire lives rarely, if ever, saying the words "I love you" out loud. That concept alone, the idea that love is a verb, not a sentence, is something I have thought about more and more as I have gotten older myself. So what does that look like at 60? Because here is the thing. By the time an Amish man and woman reach their 60s, something significant has already happened. The children are grown. In Amish culture, once the children are old enough, they take over the main farm and the parents move into what is called the Dottie house. The literal Pennsylvania German translation is Grandpa's house. It is a smaller, simpler dwelling attached to or near the main home, still close to family, still surrounded by grandchildren, but for the first time in decades, that husband and wife are living primarily just the two of them. After a lifetime of raising large families, the average Amish family has somewhere between 5 and 10 children. Suddenly, the house is quiet. It is just them. And studies on Amish family life from Elizabethtown College describe the elderly in the Dottie house as esteemed for their wisdom, finding meaning and dignity as they assist their adult children and pour into their grandchildren. But the private reality is that this is also the first real stretch of time an Amish couple has spent alone together since their early marriage years. That is a turning point. And from what I saw growing up, it changes something between couples in a way that is quiet but unmistakable. My grandfather used to get up before dawn every winter morning to light the wood stove before my grandmother woke up. Every single morning, not because anyone told him to, not because he announced it. She just woke up to warmth. That was his romance. That was 40 years of love made visible without a single word. I watched that as a child and did not fully understand what I was seeing. Now I do. Among older Amish men, love in their 60s and beyond tends to look like reliability at a level that most people in the outside world genuinely cannot imagine. It looks like the man who, even after decades of hard farm labor wearing down his body, still makes sure the things that matter to his wife are handled before he rests. It looks like the couple who have a routine so deeply ingrained, morning devotions together, supper at the same time every evening, sitting on the porch before dark, that the routine itself is the intimacy. You do not need grand gestures when you have built an entire life around the same person for 40 years. The familiarity is the tenderness. But I want to tell you about something that surprised even me, because I think it breaks every assumption people carry about older Amish couples. There is a place called Pinecraft in Sarasota, Florida. It has been called, not entirely as a joke, the Amish Las Vegas. Since the 1920s, Amish and Mennonite families, and particularly older couples, retirees, snowbirds, have been traveling south to this small community every winter. They rent little bungalow homes. They eat out at Yoder's restaurant, which is famous for over 25 kinds of homemade pie. They play shuffleboard at Pinecraft Park. They ride adult tricycles along the streets because there are no horses or buggies needed. Some elderly Amish couples live there year-round, and if you have ever seen photographs of older Amish couples at Pinecraft, on a beach in Florida, relaxed and laughing and together, it tells a story that the quiet Lancaster County farm does not always show you. These are people who have spent their whole lives working from sunrise to sunset under a strict set of community rules, and in Pinecraft, slightly looser rules apply. The result is older Amish couples genuinely enjoying each other, having fun, laughing in public, eating pie together, watching the sunset over the Gulf of Mexico. That is romance too. It is real, and it is there. There is one more thing I want to address because it is part of the real picture. Amish men do remarry after a spouse dies. Researchers who studied Ohio Amish describe two types of second marriages. One type is called a companion marriage, an older widower marrying another widow, specifically for companionship and closeness in the later years of life. The fact that this category exists and is recognized and accepted within Amish culture tells you something important. It means that even in a world where romance is never performed publicly, where the words I love you are rarely spoken, where there are no flowers on anniversaries and no jewelry to mark the union, the desire for closeness, for partnership, for someone to sit next to in your old age, that desire is real. It does not go away at 60, it does not go away at 70, and the Amish know it, even if they would never use the word romance to describe it. I grew up watching my grandparents and my parents and the older couples at church, and here is the truest thing I can say. The romance was always there. It just did not look like anything the outside world would recognize. It looked like a warm house before sunrise. It looked like 40 years of the same porch, the same prayers, the same quiet after supper. It looked like choosing the same person again and again, every single day, without ever making a production of it. And maybe, if I am being honest with myself, that is actually the most romantic thing I have ever seen.